But right now, earlier in the week, we were getting really excited about the start of the new Formula One season. Will Lewis Hamilton win a seventh World Championship, matching Michael Schumacher? But then the McLaren team pulled out at this weekend's Australian Grand Prix after a team member tested positive for a coronavirus. And yesterday afternoon, it was announced the race has been postponed. There's also doubt over the next few races in the calendar as well. Very disappointing news for Formula One fans, of course, such as Sarah Merritt from Chelmsford, who's something of a super fan and joins me now. Morning to you, Sarah.
Good morning, Sadie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. First of all, let's address the elephant in the room. How do you feel about the Australian Grand Prix being postponed?
Well, I've got to be honest, it's not the conversation I thought we'd be having today. I thought we'd be talking about all the positives of the season starting. But as we know, it's an ever-changing landscape, and yeah, I'm disappointed as a fan. But yesterday, the communication that came out on this was an absolute fiasco. I'm happy to say the only team that did it right was the team I support, McLaren, and I applaud them for doing what they did. Many fans have travelled from the UK for the trip of a lifetime. It's talk of the season being suspended up until Baku, but we know that what happened overnight is what needed to happen given the situation that developed.
And how, when you say it was a fiasco, in what way?
Well, during the day yesterday, various news sources were saying it was on or it was off. They were citing people they'd spoken to in the paddock. You know, in this internet age, on Formula One, we can see everything immediately on Twitter. So the fact that the F1 officials and the FIA didn't speak up and say, right, it's cancelled, or no, it's carrying on, and let fans queue up at the gates today in that situation. And it wasn't until later on that they were all sent away.
And as you say, some people will have made a trip of a lifetime to say, let's go and see it, maybe ticking off that, because you've been to quite a few, haven't you, yourself?
Oh, yes. I've been to Valencia, Singapore, Silverstone, Barcelona many times, Spa, Monza, Hungary, Monaco, Abu Dhabi, and last year took a big trip to the Chinese Grand Prix for the 1000th race.
Wow, that's incredible. So you could well have been one of these fans who'd sort of said, right, I've never done Australia, let's go over there.
Totally. And I understand that real dilemma of having paid in advance. You know, we book our hotels, our flights, and our tickets for these things a year in advance often. So there's that dilemma of I've spent so much money on this, I really want to be there, and this isn't safe, this isn't healthy, I shouldn't be doing this. It's really difficult.
Absolutely, but to put it in context, of course, health come first. It makes you realise as well that how global the sport is, how many different countries are in it, and how many different countries like you've been to with this.
Yes, definitely. And one of the things I can say is with social media nowadays, we talk about the F1 family. We all communicate with each other and talk about the races. And I've met people from all these different races in many different countries, and they've become my friends. So there's that aspect to it as well. It's not just about going and sitting there and watching the Formula One. It's about meeting up with big groups of people who have the same likes as you.
Now, I went along to Silverstone and I was in the paddock area, which was amazing.
Oh.
I wish I'd known exactly who everyone was, but I grabbed a few people to have a chat with. But of course, I just did it the one day. Do you go for the whole time? Because it's a real festival, isn't it?
Yes, so we tend to, for a European race, we'll probably rock up on a Wednesday. On a Thursday, there'll often be a pit walk or some fan events at the circuit. And that's when you get to meet your drivers, get your autographs, you know, look inside the garages, that kind of thing. Friday, you'll have practice. Different dates for Monaco, obviously, because they run things a bit differently. Saturday, qualification. And then there'll be lots of support races as well that we watch, like Formula 2. And then Sunday, the race. In fact, Sunday is a bit of a downer sometimes because you know you'll be going home on Monday, so it's kind of like the whole event is over.
Right. What got you interested in this sport in the first place? I mean, some people may say, oh, it's just a load of people driving around in a circle. Where's the fun in that?
I get that a lot. I also get a lot of people saying, but you're a girl, you can't know anything about Formula One. And basically the answer is my dad. I used to watch Formula One, sat on the sofa with my dad when I was a little girl. And then there were periods of my life when I wasn't that into it, but he would have always been watching it. And then, yeah, as I've got older, I've realised that it's something that I could afford to do. Maybe as a youngster, I thought this wasn't something I'd ever be able to do. You talked about being in the paddock. That's every F1 bobblehat's dream. That's
Oh,
the
really?
most expensive thing to do, yeah. And I'm very lucky because I'm a fan of McLaren and I'm one of their papaya fans. I've been able to go to some events like that. I've been able to go to their car launch this year. I was one of about 25 or 30 fans that were invited into the McLaren Technology Centre to see that. So I'm very
Wow.
lucky that I've been in the paddock and I've been in a garage. But many Formula One fans who are listening, that's something they aspire to, and that's their dream. You know, it's the big one.
Oh, well, I did realise how lucky I was. I was walking around with my mouth open most of the time going, oh, my Lord, this is incredible, because I do follow it. But I believe you've handed over a room in your house to your memorabilia.
I'm in it right now. If
What have
if
you
you perhaps
got?
saw my tweet earlier, I'm sat in here right now. So this is my office where I work. My husband has asked me to keep my F1 stuff upstairs in one space and not spread it over the house. So as I look around me, I can see signed photos from people I've met. My favourite one probably being Jenson Button, but I've also got a very nice one of Niki Lauda on my wall, which I treasure. Lots of McLaren merchandise, signed half-scale crash helmets. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those. But for
No.
every helmet the drivers bring out, you can purchase a copy of that helmet in a half scale. So it's about as big as your hand to keep. So I carry
Wow.
those to races and get them signed. I've even got pieces of car, gear cogs, things like that I've been collecting over the years. Um, every F1 bobblehat buys their fridge magnet wherever they go. So the aim is that every race we go to, we collect a fridge magnet so we can say we've been there. Um, Key rings. I've even got a shoey. Do you know what a shoey is,
No,
Sadie?
I've no idea. What is
Well,
it?
Daniel Ricciardo is quite often seen on television if he's on the podium pouring champagne into his race boot, his shoe, and drinking from it. Apparently, it's an Australian custom. Maybe a lot of us would have been hoping to see that this weekend.
Yeah.
But they also sell these as a like a neoprene foam holder to put your tinny in, to put your can of beer in. So I've even got a shoey that's come home from Australia, even though I've not been there. That's the beauty of it all. We all send each other things from the races we've been to. I've got a friend in Russia, and she sent me a set of Russian dolls from the Sochi Autodrome. So yeah, the F1 merchandise business is big, and we're there for it.
Well, I tell you, we made the most of it as well. I bought, because it was Al's birthday that we went along, and I bought him quite a few bits at Silverstone. He's got some lovely sunglasses. He's not keen on them because they're too cool, but I think I think he looks fabulous.
Just tell him he looks like Jenson Button. He'll be fine with it.
No, I'll be fine with it. He'll go, oh, I don't know to look like anyone. So what about this year? Where are you going this year? Do you have any plans?
Well, I do
Well.
have plans. I've just come back from Barcelona testing a couple of weeks ago, and I'm booked in to go back to Barcelona for the race to sit in the Carlos Sainz grandstand. He's our
Wow.
driver at McLaren,
Right.
and they do very, very, very competitively priced tickets to sit in his grandstand and cheer him on. And I'm also due to be going to Baku in Azerbaijan as my flyaway to go somewhere a bit different and try something out, and meet up with a lot of fans there. So right now that's kind of all up in the air, obviously, but fingers crossed things will settle down and we will all still get to go on our trips this year.
Well, do send me some pictures on Twitter, won't you? Copy at Sadie Nine so I can see it. I've already retweeted this one, but do a few more for us because I know that our listeners will love to see some of your memorabilia and see what you get up to. It's been such a pleasure having a chat with you, and it'd be lovely to see you at another time as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Sadie. Been really good, and hopefully when things get started, we could maybe chat again.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Why don't we make Sarah our Formula One expert? Because I do love my sport. I do love my sport, as you know, and there's bound to be something goes on and we go, oh, crikey, we should talk about that. We'll give you a call, Sarah. Thank you very much indeed. They can have all the other ones. They can have them all the ones, all the pundits and everything. That's fine. I'll have Sarah Merritt. Thank you very much indeed from Chelmsford, just round the corner.
Sadie Nine. This is BBC Essex.